The world was struggling. But Vietnam did this. Why Vietnam's economy survived global shocks better than many countries. Opening Vietnam in a turbulent decade. Picture this: a small electronics factory outside Hanoi. Morning sunlight falls across the assembly lines, where young workers carefully fit tiny camera parts destined for phones all over the world. They lived through the pandemic shutdowns, through supply chain chaos, through inflation and geopolitical tensions, and yet, today, the factory is busy again. Workers are optimistic. Orders are returning. This little scene reflects something bigger. Vietnam has been surprisingly resilient in one of the most uncertain decades in modern history. While global growth slowed to its weakest levels since the 1960s, Vietnam still grew above 7% in 2024, kept inflation moderate, and continued expanding its role in global trade. So why did this country of nearly 100 million people hold steady when so many others stumbled? To understand this, we can break Vietnam's success into four quiet engines: exports, remittances, domestic consumers, and steady monetary policy. 1. Vietnam's export engine: flexible, fast, and globally connected. Vietnam has spent the past 15 years building one of the world's most adaptable export ecosystems. When companies looked for alternatives to China, Vietnam was ready. Factories expanded. Workers upskilled. Infrastructure grew rapidly. By 2024, Vietnam exported more than $400 billion worth of goods, from smartphones and semiconductors to shoes, furniture, and coffee. That's extraordinary for a country that was mostly rural just a generation ago. Walk into a tech store in New York or Berlin, and chances are that at least one device, a phone, a laptop, a pair of earbuds, contains parts made in Vietnam. This interconnectedness means, when global demand improves, Vietnam benefits quickly. When foreign companies diversify, Vietnam is often their first stop. And when new supply chains form, Vietnam is already plugged in. Even during global shocks, foreign investment stayed strong. Investors didn't pull out, they doubled down. It's a reminder that Vietnam isn't just participating in global trade, it's becoming essential to it, too. Remittances, the quiet financial lifeline from overseas Vietnamese. The second reason for Vietnam's resilience is something almost invisible from the outside: remittances, money sent home by overseas Vietnamese. Around 5.3 million Vietnamese live abroad, and they send billions of dollars home every year. In fact, Vietnam consistently ranks among the top 10 remittance recipients in the world. These funds support children's education, small family shops, new homes, and daily living expenses. They help families stay stable even when the local economy slows. For Vietnam, remittances act like a cushion, softening global shocks. While other countries saw remittances drop during crises, Vietnam's remained strong. If you want an image for your viewers, it is as if millions of tiny bridges connect Vietnam to the world, no matter what happens in the global economy. Money and support continue flowing home. Those inflows also provide steady foreign currency, helping keep Vietnam's exchange rate stable, a big reason markets trust the country. 3. A rising domestic consumer class, Vietnam's new growth engine. Vietnam today is young. The average age is around 32. Millions of people have entered the middle class in the past decade, and their spending power is reshaping the country. Domestic consumption now accounts for more than half of Vietnam's GDP, and it has become an engine of stability. If you walk into a mall in Ho Chi Minh City, you'll see what this means: families eating out, young people trying new gadgets, modern supermarkets and coffee shops everywhere, digital payments replacing cash. This rising consumer culture gives Vietnam something extremely valuable: an internal market strong enough to support growth even when external markets slow down. Recent government policies helped too, like temporarily cutting VAT and easing visa rules, which boosted tourism and services. In other words, Vietnam is no longer only exporting products, it is exporting confidence and importing prosperity through its own growing middle class. For a smart, cautious monetary policy, stability in an unstable world. While many central banks around the world were forced to raise interest rates aggressively, Vietnam took a gentler, more balanced path. The State Bank of Vietnam cut key interest rates to support businesses and kept inflation largely under control. Inflation stayed around 3 to 3.6%, much lower than in many developing countries. Crucially, the exchange rate, the Vietnamese dong, remained fairly stable even when global currencies swung wildly. This matters because exporters feel safe. Foreign investors trust the market. Everyday people avoid the fear of rapid price increases. Vietnam's approach was simple but effective. Keep the economy breathing, but don't let it overheat, in a world where inflation and instability derailed many recoveries. This discipline gave Vietnam a significant advantage. 5. How these four forces work together. Vietnam's resilience isn't magic, it's synergy. These four pillars support each other. Exports bring steady foreign income and attract global investors. Remittances stabilize households and supply foreign currency. Domestic consumers keep the economy moving from within. Monetary policy ensures confidence, stability, and predictable prices. Many countries have one or two of these strengths. Vietnam is unusual because it has all four working at the same time. That's the real reason it weathered global storms better than most. Closing, a decade of shocks, a story of resilience. The 2020s will be remembered as a decade of upheaval. A pandemic disrupted supply chains, energy shocks, high inflation, and rising geopolitical tensions. But in the middle of that turbulence, Vietnam wrote a different kind of story. Not a miracle story, not a perfect story, but a story of resilience, built on people, policy, and persistence. And as the world continues to search for stability, Vietnam offers an example of how an emerging nation can adapt, stay open, and keep moving forward even during the harshest global storms. Perhaps someday, when economists look back at this decade, they won't only talk about crisis. They may also mention a country in Southeast Asia that quietly outperformed expectations. Vietnam, resilient, optimistic, and ready for what comes next.